Folks, thank you all for being here. We're going to be dialing in Councilmember Butcher. Just be patient for another couple of minutes. Another second. Amy, we confirm that YouTube, Comcast, and our website are live? Hearing me?
Were turned off. She was going to turn off.
Amy, we confirm that our YouTube broadcast, Comcast, and website are live? Thank you.
Hey, Councilor Butcher, I'm going to put you on speaker. Councilor Butcher? Okay, I'm going to put you on speaker.
Hi, Bruce, can you hear me? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. This is an emergency meeting of the Fort Myers Beach Town Council. It is Wednesday, March 18th, 2020. It is 3:38 p.m. The meeting is called to order with Vice Mayor Murphy, Councilmember Hossafrost, Councilmember Shamp, present at the dais, Councilmember Butcher, present by phone, Town Manager Hernstadt, and Town Clerk Michelle Mayer. We also have in the audience Matt Love, the Fire Chief. We have two Fire Commissioners in the audience, Jackie Lisak and Ron Fleming. We have Councilman-elect Dan Allers in the audience and various press members. And thank you all for being here. We also have two representatives from the Sheriff's Department. So, Council, I know that you all are getting the same calls I am. You're hearing the same messages that I am. To that end, last night, I sent a message to Chief Love and to Roger, asking them if we could meet this morning. I have had two telephone conferences with Senator Benaquisto, Commissioner Hammonds and Sandelli, County Manager Roger DeJarle, Mayor Ruane of Sanibel, Mayor Henderson of Fort Myers, Mayor Coviello of Cape Coral, Mayor Ribble of Estero, Mayor Simmons, Bonita Springs, Sheriff Marcino and Under Sheriff Smith, Tamara Pygott of the Lee County Visitor and Convention Bureau, and as I said, Jackie Lisak of the Greater Fort Myers Beach Chamber of Commerce and Chief Matt Love of the Fort Myers Beach Fire Control District. After discussing the issues that we are facing here on Fort Myers Beach, and after intense conversation with our town manager and staff, I've prepared a statement that I'd like to read into the record. I'd like then to go member by member, ask for your comments. I'm going to allow public comment. I will turn off the microphone if it is in any way a panic state of mind, because that is not how we should be proceeding here. This is not meant to panic anyone. Our motivation is to protect our resources and protect our residents and visitors. Here's the statement. By the way, all the previous stated people that I've spoken with today all have this statement.
Before you read this, I guess I'd like just to make clear for the record that this is a proposed proclamation.
Absolutely.
And has not yet been voted on.
Absolutely, Roxanne, and thank you for that. We had to start somewhere, and so this is what we've worked on, but it will be up for discussion here with the council members. In the best interest of our residents, our visitors, and our greater community, and in order to preserve the resources of our public health services, the town of Fort Myers Beach is officially closing the beachfront as of 6 p.m. March 19th, 2020 through April 21st, 2020 at 6 p.m. Additional closures within the town of Fort Myers Beach will include the beach pool, Bay Oaks Recreation Center, the Mound House, Newton Beach property, is associated with those properties. Be clear, individuals, residents, and visitors may continue to walk on the beach, complying with the most restrictive regulatory guidelines for groups of people. But all beach furniture, chairs, etc. will be prohibited. No sitting, lying, or congregating on the beach will be permitted. The town is also encouraging our visitors and residents to limit their activity in public and to strive to stay home between the hours of 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. Everyone's immediate cooperation is essential to ensure that additional, more restrictive measures will not have to be implemented. All non-governmental entities such as, but not limited to, retail businesses, condominium associations, hotels, places of worship, gymnasiums, are also being directed to obey the most stringent, restrictive regulatory guidelines for groups of people. The town of Fort Myers Beach is cooperating with and implementing the guidelines issued by the U.S. Center for Disease Control, the state of Florida, the governor's office, the Lee County Sheriff's Office, Fort Myers Beach Fire Control District, the Lee County Visitor and Convention Bureau, the Greater Fort Myers Beach Chamber of Commerce, and nearby municipalities. This declaration is put into place to give adequate notice to all parties. As Councilmember Hossifras said, this has been prepared by collaborative effort with the people I have spoken of earlier, our town staff and myself, in order to state as clearly as possible what I believe to be our necessary move at this point. Our purpose here today is to hear what our other council members have to say, modify this directive if necessary, to hear your comment, and then to close the meeting. So with that, Mr. Murphy, I'm going to start with you.
Start with me, huh?
I'll be happy to start with Roxanne
No,
if you
that's
want.
okay. You can start with me. Well, in my own mind, I always suspected that we were heading this in this direction. Just didn't know when. Tell you, the person I've been most guided by during this whole coronavirus business is Dr. Anthony Fauci from the National Institutes of Health. That's who I've pretty much taken my cues from. And he, every time I've seen him of late, his comments have been, I want to err on the side of safety. I want to be the one that they said went way, way too far. He wants to be that guy because he says if that's what they're saying about me, then I know what I'm doing is right. So who am I to argue with Dr. Fauci? Now, it's just a matter of how this is implemented here on the beach. I guess what I want to hear in the discussion is, what changed from yesterday to today and so forth, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of discussion about that. In principle, we've tried to go by the recommended voluntary guidelines. It hasn't worked. People haven't been cooperative about that in various places on the beach. So, next step, this is what we're being faced with now. So it's not something that we want to do. Personally, last thing that I'd want to do, but these are trying times, and our hand is pretty much being forced right now. But with that being said, most of this that's in this declaration, I'll wait to listen to the other members and.
Vice Mayor Murphy, I'm going to answer your question. What changed from yesterday to today? Changed is that there are additional beach closures throughout the state of Florida, including within the hour Collier County. Collier County has closed their beach. Fort Myers Beach has always been the county's playground. That is a danger to us all right now. We no more want to bring in and expose ourselves to potential illness. We also don't want our visitors and residents to take and expose others to potential illness. Dramatic change has been the influx of movement of people essentially looking for a place to go, to continue their vacation, to begin their vacation. That's the biggest change. Roxanne?
Okay.
I'm not sure what. First of all, when I got wind of this, I got on the phone with the town attorney who told me that he didn't write this, which gives me pause. Considering that we are, I think, stretching our authority to do this, he assures me we are not, but he didn't have a copy of this in his hand. He referred me to the executive order from the governor, 2068, and when I read it, it doesn't give us the authority. When I called him back and told him that, he said, well, we have the authority. And I believe we may have the authority, but I sure would have liked the town attorney to have had a part in writing this. And in the past, I have mentioned the fact that I think our town attorney should be our town attorney and be here. And here we have this circumstance where he's not. And I'm finding no fault with John in saying that.
Well, Roxanne, I'm just going to stop you for a second. I'm going to find big fault with him right this second, because he has been on the phone with Roger all morning. He has known every step of this. He has had a copy of this. We asked him what form he would like this in, and so I won't comment anymore. Go ahead.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood him.
That's okay.
Moving forward with my notes, I have a problem with the wording closing the beachfront. The words close the beachfront are vague, broad, and in my view, cause panic, because they are too vague and broad. We then go on in the next paragraph to directly conflict what we said. We said close the beachfront, and then we say residents and visitors may continue to walk the beach. I'm all in favor of that, but that directly conflicts with the words close the beachfront. So I would certainly change that wording somehow and indicate that we are going to be regulating the use of the beachfront and then be more specific about it, because the words close the beachfront just makes everybody go, I won't use the words.
How would you feel about closing the beachfront commercial activity?
I'm not sure I like that either. And I don't like having to write things off the top of my head right here. I'd like to think about that more. Going on to the next paragraph, I have a problem with the fact that we say people are allowed to walk, but they're not allowed to sit down. So we're going to send a sheriff out on the beach, and if someone's sitting down on the beach, they're subject to be arrested because they're sitting on the beach?
We're not saying that.
Well, but this doesn't not make sense to me the way that it's been come up with. And I'm not finding fault with you because I know you did the best you could to come up with something, but to me, I think we needed to write this in a different fashion. Part of the time, we use the words direct, and we're saying, direct, we order you not to do this. Then we use the word encourage. We're not being consistent here with what we're telling people. Are we directing you? Are we encouraging you? I don't have any idea how keeping people inside their homes between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. has any direct correlation to the issue at hand. Maybe it does. Someone could educate me on that. Going down to the next to the last paragraph where it says most stringent restrictive regulatory guidelines, I would certainly add the words from federal, state, and local authorities, including any updates from the above governmental entity. I guess I also think it's strange if Collier County closed their beaches as a county, why are we doing it individually? Then Sanibel, I guess, isn't closed and we are. So that also gives me pause and raises questions. That's all I've got to say for right now.
Roger, can you address any of Rick Sand's concerns at this moment?
The only thing I can tell you, Madam Mayor, members of the council, is as of 3:14, and this is 14 minutes prior to that, I received another notice that the city of Naples is closing all their public beaches to help minimize the spread of coronavirus. Their sign says, "Closed, no trespassing." The picture, which I don't know if it's from today or from a file picture, but that's what it says. So, notwithstanding the wordsmithing, there's always room for improvement with that to convey the message the council wishes to convey. There's no pride of authorship on my part on this because I didn't write it per se. I had input into it, but I think the important message is that having people congregate on the beach and the fact that as other beaches close, ours become more heavily used, requires steps to protect the public's health and safety, then enact some appropriate measures.
Wayne? Take a breath.
For a minute. Okay, go ahead.
Our life and my entire family and everybody I know and love is in healthcare. My sister at the VA was told today that they're going to wartime conditions. We'll treat civilians now. Being fitted for a hazmat suit. The U.S. Attorney General stated, that seems like overreaction. That's probably about where you need to be. My son is a cancer doctor in Cleveland. I will not be admitting cancer patients for pain. We're getting ready to not have enough health care in this country. They feel we are 2 to 3 weeks behind Italy, where they're deciding which 40-year-old dies, the one who has 2 children or the one who doesn't have children. So I'm going to be the one that overreacts. And I am sorry for the entire world that we're going through this. We're in this together. And we're going to come out of this together. And there's going to be a lot of suffering between then and now. I am concerned that Lee County has not closed Lynn Hall Park, Crescent Beach Park and Bowditch Park within our municipal limits.
Joanne,
I asked them to do it.
I can assure you that I just received a message from Mayor Ruane. Sanibel has now made the decision to close at least the parking of their beach accesses. I can assure you that the county is looking very closely at what they need to do, and will certainly follow our lead on the beach if we ask them to.
Well, I just got an email before we came that said their beach parks are open, but their other parks are closed. Anita,
Yes.
Roger, been driving you guys crazy for the last few days. You can see how strongly I feel about this. I appreciate your leadership. I appreciate you putting this down as a first effort. I don't think it goes far enough. I'm here to discuss. With sunshine laws, we can't discuss. We're here to discuss this now. And I will be as overreactionary as possible as the U.S. Surgeon General asks us to be.
If I could ask both, I'm sorry. Bruce, do you have any comments? Can you hear us?
I can hear you, but I never got this statement by email or what?
Bruce, stand by. I'm going to have Michelle send that to you right this moment. And I'm going to take some public comment. Joanne and Rexanne. Joanne doesn't feel this goes far enough. Rexanne has wording concerns. I'm going to ask them both to try and clarify those points for us. And I'm going to open the public comment. Is there anyone here who'd like to
Oh,
speak?
he's saying something else.
Bruce?
May I ask a couple of questions before that?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so, Dan's comment, I was wondering about parking. Are we closing all parking lots?
We did not go that far. What I'm hearing is that we need to be more specific and perhaps take an additional step. Closing the parking is the action that's being taken by Collier County and now by the city of Sanibel. It could very well be what one of our changes should be here.
I would have thought the county observe parking lots at the beach parks, and that we should do the same and close the commercial parking, maybe leave meter parking open. I don't know. In the statement, did it say we were closing restaurants or not?
No, sir.
So would there be a time maybe to close restaurants? Say they have to close by 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock or something?
There was a lot of discussion with the sheriff and the undersheriff about a potential curfew. As you can imagine, resources are stressed so thin that the logistics of a curfew, and I'm using that in its legal sense, difficult. The sheriff asked us for the 6 o'clock tomorrow timeline so that that department and our town staff had the ability to organize the logistics of this, because I recognize that there are a lot of questions. And instead of a curfew, which would be an extreme case, which other communities have instituted, we are asking residents and visitors to limit their public interaction between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m.
I guess my big thing here is wording, as Rexanne said, on some of those things. Seemed to me that you would definitely want to close the parking to stop people from coming here. And then the people that are in the condos and the hotels, they're going to have to eat. May not be able to get out of here, may not want to get out of here. And so there's a big population here that does have to have the opportunity to eat. Got to bring workers in. Where are they going to park if we close all the parking lots? I mean, there's several logistic things that have to be considered, and maybe closing the parking lot's not a good idea if you got to bring workers in. Maybe there's a central working parking lot and you have shuttles that take work. I don't know.
Bruce, you just brought up several issues that we have discussed throughout the day. Yes, you just raised several of the same issues we've already talked about.
Okay. All right. And I guess I'm done. I'm just curious, did Caillou say how they enforce anything? Is there beach banned, or is it like us, you can walk on the beach, or is it just a ban from being on the beach?
I don't have that particular right this second, Bruce, but I'll for you within the next few minutes if, Roger, if you could find that out for us. Okay, Bruce, so have you received the email from Michelle?
Yes. I just
All right, I'm going to take some public comment, and then I'll, go ahead, Bruce.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, before you ask for the public comment, can we ask a couple more questions?
Oh,
first?
sure, please.
I just needed a clarification. Are we talking about all the town property, beachfront property, all the county beachfront property, and all private property up and down the whole 7 miles of the island?
What do you mean?
Is Joanne going to be able to walk out in her backyard?
Yes.
Oh,
He said private property, so
So it is.
well, that's what I mean, and on the enforcement side, I mean, when our guys are going up and down the beach, I mean, if, or whoever else along the beachfront, they throw a chair out there and they want to go out and lay on the beach or in front of their own house, is that going to be in violation of this ban? These are points that we really need to clarify. Or is it just total island-wide, close it down until whatever the date was? And that would certainly make it.
And you have a comment on it? Because we talked about your very.
I'm not concerned about my house. I am concerned that we do something and follow something more like the Miami-Dade model, which was very specific, point by point. I think that what we're proposing here doesn't provide enough clarity, and that there's no point in putting in rules that you cannot really enforce.
Recognize that the city of Miami Beach didn't actually close their beach. Lauderdale Beach closed a section of their beach. Miami Beach's closure of their beach or closing of their spring break really is more like a curfew.
But other communities have actually blocked off their beach access, whatever. We're just starting now because we're 2 to 3 weeks behind Italy, so we're not in a full panic mode yet. And I suspect that our best move is to be proactive and think what it's going to be in a week or two, when we normally, if we don't send the message out, we'll be inundated with from Indiana, Ohio, whatever. And once again, we have people who live here who should be able to go to the grocery store and keep 6 feet apart. There's only one grocery store on our island. There's only one pharmacy on our island. Our seniors, we're mostly senior, we cannot go to the store and follow the CDC recommendation. We are inundated with visitors, and we are not able to follow appropriate guidelines unless we react, and react strongly immediately. I think that we need to be very specific. I do think we need to close our parking lots. I do think we need to close our town meters. I think we need to close all of our parks, both town and county owned. I think we need to shut down all business activity seaward of the EC line, across the board, and all gatherings of individuals seaward of the EC line that affects private and public property. Restaurants, Miami and other communities have gone to takeout and delivery only. That keeps the employees in the restaurants working. It keeps food coming. And they also kept the pharmacy, the grocery, the gas station, and convenience stores open as long as the convenience stores follows the CDC guidelines. I would ask CVS and Publix to have an hour or two set aside for seniors only, especially if they're residents of the island somehow. That we are attending to the people who live here and their needs, who are the most vulnerable of the group, are most likely to overwhelm the health system. To start, that gives you an idea of what I would do very specifically.
Thank you. I'm going to open the public comment. If you would, which is the mic, which is this one? Anybody like to speak? If you would, raise your hand. Seeing none, I'm closing the public comment. Thank you all. Sam?
Well, it seems that Joanne and I are pretty far apart on this. As far as I understand, Publix has delivery that people can use. It would be nice if Publix wants to, set aside time for seniors to come in. I would encourage people that are serious about this to use delivery services rather than going to the store. I think it's, if you're going to go down the path that Joanne wants to go, then I think you've got to go there. It makes no sense to me to say that you can't have 4 people walking together on the beach, but then say they can go to a restaurant. So that's entirely inconsistent. To me, it's much safer that I be able to go out and walk with my husband on the beach and for us to allow people to go into restaurants. So, but I wouldn't go there. But if you're going to go down Joanne's path, then I think you've got to go all the way down Joanne's path. And again, I would take those words out, closing the beachfront, because to me it just huge, it's too vague,
I'm going to ask you all a question. Do you believe that we should allow our residents and visitors the ability to continue to walk as Miami along the beach? Would they be able to do that?
Yes.
Roxanne says yes. Joanne, what do you say?
Are you saying on the wet sand?
On the wet sand.
I think that decision cannot be made alone. It has to be in a package of other things.
Okay, but let's try and put together that package. Do you believe that somebody should be able to take a walk on the beach? We can put it, I'm going to ask you for a yes or a no conditionally. How's that? Based on whatever else we have
I don't
here.
think I can answer that yet
Okay.
because we have a problem with control of the people that are about to arrive. I'm not sure how we do that.
That goes to now, is it 10 people walking together on the beach? Is it a dozen people walking on the beach together? Is it 2 people walking on the beach together?
And I'd like to say this. I actually went out on the beach this morning specifically to look around. I walked 4 miles of the beach. I saw no groups of more than 3, tops 4 people. People were spacing appropriately. Now, there may be here on the more north end of the island where we need to have more patrol, but I'd say for sure the southern end of the island, everybody's behaving appropriately, staying far apart from each other. They're walking in small. I saw a few people sitting on beach chairs. They had spaced themselves far apart from each other. I took pictures of it. They were acting appropriately.
I'm just looking to see what the city of Naples is closing all public beaches within the city limits beginning today through Monday in an effort to mitigate the spread of the novel coronavirus, COVID-19. Naples Pier is closing as of 3 p.m. All other beach accesses, beach restroom facilities, parking areas, parks will be closed as of 5 p.m. today.
I don't think you can go easier than that and stop the influx of visitors. I hate to pick on young people. I was one. I and my kids have probably behaved as badly as anybody on spring break in our time. However, this is not the time for this. And I don't know, unless we send out the most stringent message, that we can otherwise stop the behavior. It's almost unenforceable. And this from somebody who lives on the beachfront, walks it every morning, as does my son. We haven't been able to walk on the wet sand. We've had to walk up into people's private property to keep 6 to 10 feet away from other people. It's like a racetrack out there in the morning with people walking this time of year. So I would say that what Roxanne is saying, it has not been our experience. We've actually been trying to modify our time that we walk to be able to keep 6 feet away from people, and have had a difficult time doing it.
But the difficulty is that,
Sorry. Bruce, you want to say something?
Yes, if you forbid people to walk on the beach, are you allowing them then to walk on the sidewalks where we have sidewalks? Are you then forcing people to congregate at the swimming shell and Lani Kai and Estero Beach and Tennis Club, and forcing people, they may want to get 6 feet apart, but where are they going to go now? They're stir crazy. You've got beautiful weather out here. We're possibly into herd pens, and we haven't accomplished anything. So I'm hesitant to say you can't walk on the beach. If you can't walk on the beach, can you walk anywhere?
I'm going to tell you that I just received a message as direction from the governor's office that in a press conference this afternoon, the governor said he is now applying CDC guidelines to the beaches. DeSantis said there will be no groups of more than 10 people allowed on beaches, and everyone must stay 6 feet apart. You know, look, I recognize that this is, how do you do it? How do you control it? How do we enforce it? And Roxanne, you know, as always, I appreciate the fact that you are always objective and looking to protect the integrity of our decision. I appreciate that. What I truly believe is that we must take an action, send a message to Joe and Mary Smith of Columbus, Ohio, who are getting ready to load up their Cherokee and bring their 4 kids to Fort Myers Beach. We need to send a message, and we need to do it now.
Well, what about what Bruce just said? So we tell everybody they can't walk on the beach, so they're all going to walk on the sidewalks.
I personally am, I truly believe, after speaking to everyone, I don't believe that we have the logistic ability to keep people off of the beach. I don't think we can. I think it would be lying to the public if we said no one is going to be on the beach, because we have hotels that are full. I think we can put into place, utilizing the governor's words that have just come out, utilizing Naples as a guideline, Sanibel, whatever. I think if we close the parking, we can close our beach access parkings, and we can ask the county to close the beach parks.
I have no problem with that, and I have no problem with following the governor's guidelines. I'm just saying you can't say people can't walk on the beach. It's not going to work.
Actually, you can, but it's the most effective thing to do.
Joanne, I'm going to tell you that the sheriff inasmuch said this morning, I can't tell you that I can help you with that. Inasmuch said it. I am sure that Roger will share with you later some of the other comments that were made, whether it's our Chief Love or it's Sheriff Marcino or any other agency that exists right now. Their resources are tapped. Part of the urgency to make this decision, and I want it to be a united decision, that's why we're talking about it. Part of the urgency is to help those agencies and to relieve burden upon them, not expect more of them.
the way to relieve the burden is to let everyone know our beaches are closed, don't come. Not that, yeah, come on down and try to spread 6 feet apart, and who's got the tape measure. Real easy to see if there's people out there or not. Not easy to count heads for 10 people here, 6 feet apart there. I think you're asking for the more difficult task. So I'm going to continue hardline position because I believe that that's the position we should be taking, knowing what I know about what's going to happen to our healthcare system.
This particular, none of us have ever experienced anything like this in our lives, and I'll say thank God for that. This is so fast moving, and our effort here is to attempt to take a step in front of it. What if we were to today announce that we are going to ask the county to close the county parks, in Hall Park, Outage, and Crescent Beach,
All their beach accesses on the
and their beach accesses, and announce that be very simple, much like the city of Naples has said, that we are closing our beach accesses. And
Parking?
I am uncertain about the parking, Roxanne, because I would say we almost have to say the parking.
Well, that's what I'm wanting to say, is
Okay.
say the parking, because if you
Okay.
say close beach accesses, it means I can't walk through there to
Okay.
go and walk on the beach.
All right, so we're going to close the beach access parking. We took that step today and agreed at 3 p.m. tomorrow to reconvene after our staff has had an opportunity to further discuss with the Sheriff's Department, with the Fire District, to perhaps have step 2 of clarification, or to better enumerate details for people.
Can we add all business activity within the EC zoning district?
The problem is, Joanne, I think that means something to you. I don't think that means anything to Joe and Sue from Columbus.
Well, that
And
means
so-
no bars and restaurants on the sand, no parasailing, no beach chairs. You're not congregating people.
So we could close all commercial activity on the beachfront.
EC zone, yes.
Can you give me an example of what there would be beachfront that isn't in the EC zone? I'm just trying to make it in regular people's words.
I don't want to name businesses. Any restaurant that is on the beachfront, but, the line of the beachfront, EC zone starts right at their front door of their business onto the sand. So they would be conducting business within the building, but not out on the sand. Then I would go further, though. Are we going to allow restaurants and bars to remain open?
There is no direction from the governor's office or anyone else not to at this point, but we could address that again tomorrow. Because I'll tell you what, yesterday, this time, I did not think we'd be sitting here today.
The direction, Mayor, is that all restaurants should go to 50% of their occupancy.
Correct.
No parties at tables larger than 10, no tables closer than 6.
That's correct.
That being said, I believe it's inadequate because they now are saying that the virus stays alive for hours, days perhaps, but hours for sure. So when one party vacates a table and another party sits down, you can still be exposed, let alone on surfaces, the number of hours that the virus stays on surfaces. But it would be a start, at least, to control the volumes in our bars and restaurants, because other efforts not to have worked so far.
What would be a start, Joanne?
The recommendation, I think Miami did it, and I think that other places have been recommended. was 50% of their normal allowed occupancy.
Those are the current guidelines.
Right, and I think we should reiterate those today. Those are our guidelines. I personally would go further than that, and I would close and have takeout and delivery only, the way other places have. But if that's not the will of the council, I would ask that you would, at a minimum, do this. Okay?
I'm still unclear about the beach. Why don't we just address the elephant in the room, stop dancing around it? We've been talking about the Lani Kai and the shows down there, so let's just talk about it. Got all these kids down there that are congregating for these firemen every afternoon, watch this show. How are we going to prevent those shows from going on? How is that going to happen?
Roger?
That's where the congregation, that's one big congregation. I'm sure there are several others, but that's the big one.
It's also in front of the cottage and elsewhere.
Yeah, well,
I think we are wrong to single out a business, and I think that there was conversation to allow that to continue that should not have occurred. That behavior off of the stage, onto the stand, and I don't think it benefits us to go into that conversation. Either make a regulation we're doing from here forward and not step backwards.
well, I'm unclear about the regulation.
Okay, I'm going to be very
I'm
clear
unclear.
I'm going to be very clear about what I'm hearing right now. Was the county close parking and parks? Outage, Lynn Hall, North Estero beach accesses, and Crescent Beach Park. Town closes. Beach accesses, by closing, I mean closed to parking. And are we closing parking, for example, on Old San Carlos Boulevard? I'm going to stick with beach accesses for a moment.
Where are workers going to park?
What did Bruce say?
Where will workers park?
Workers don't currently park in Lynn Hall Park or beach accesses, Bruce. We're not talking about any private parking lots at this point. Just beach accesses and county parking lots. That we memorialize the current guidelines for restaurant patrons, restaurant owners, and that we put that into effect as of 6 p.m. tomorrow, that we meet again tomorrow, 3 p.m., to add or subtract, probably not subtract, and continue with any further recommendations that are being made.
Say close the pier.
Bruce, go ahead, Bruce.
Did you say close the pier?
Yes.
I think that we really need to address, since we've stopped, apparently, beach vendors and elected them out from the other businesses on the beachfront, which I think was collective.
It's a good point,
I
to
think
add
that's why
commercial
I think-
activity.
I think all commercial activity, seaward of the EC line, that is fair across the board. That is commercial activity, special events, or gathering of people for entertainment or other purposes, seaward of the EC line.
Do you
Then,
have that? Write that down.
seaward of the EC line, our environmentally critical zone, that controls how people gather on the beach.
What about the entertainers at Times Square?
We're not there, Bruce.
The permits have been pulled for all
permits have all
special
been
events
pulled.
have been pulled.
Right. That's right. Thank you.
I'm going to ask one more thing, yea or nay, from about the extension of all the premises into Times Square and the public property there. tight. It gathers people tightly into time. You know, it's not popular, but we're stopping people from extending onto the beach in town. About all those packed-in businesses that are using public property at Times Square.
But I hate to tell you this, Joanne, but there is no packed in right now. The restaurants have already cut their capacity to half. They have already removed tables. Don't know that everyone has. I do know that a few of them are taking the lead on that. They've already worked together with Mr. Prasad to accomplish what I'm going to call a pickup drive-through parking area in his parking lot. Because currently there's no parking for those businesses, so where would somebody come to pick up a burger and fries? Mr. Prasad has worked with them to accomplish that. Joe Orlandini and John Lalo all worked on that yesterday. We could talk about that again tomorrow.
Thank you. You prefaced that with, you hate to tell me? I'm encouraged. Thank you for
No,
telling me that.
by that-
Thank you for telling me that the businesses are stepping up as well. I understand how painful this is economically. I don't own a business, but we all know people who do. Everybody's impacted by this one way or another. Retirees with their life savings. So thank you for letting me know, and thank you to those businesses who are stepping up and doing the right thing. I know it's painful, but it's the right thing to do. I thought it was interesting. Sanjay Gupta said, "How I behave affects your health. How you behave affects my health." So thank you to the businesses who are also doing this, even though it's painful to their bottom line. Thank you.
No, go ahead.
I'd like
Roxanne.
to say that I would be in favor of, and I hope Michelle got it down, the mayor gave a list of things, and Joanne gave a First Amendment. She went on, I don't agree with the Second Amendment, but the First Amendment, businesses in the EC, so we can move towards some action here.
Also, that answered my question earlier.
So,
But
Michelle?
I also want to
Go
know,
ahead.
just to make sure that everybody knows, there is this is going to be wordsmithed, I presume, tonight and tomorrow before we meet again. There is there's a tentative end date on this thing. Of course, no one knows what that's going to be, but it's a start, and it's a good start. Thank you for your efforts.
So, I'm just going to state it again to be clear. Town Council will request that Lee County close the parking and the parks that they hold on Fort Myers Beach, Cottage Point, in Hall, Pier, Crescent Beach. North Estero Boulevard beach accesses belong to the county would also be closed. Town of Fort Myers Beach will close all beach accesses to parking and will close any commercial activity in the EC zone, in layman's terms, on the beach. We can put that into effect beginning tomorrow at 6 p.m. through April 21st, 6 p.m. That allows the newly elected town council to be seated and to review the options that will be presented to them, which seems like so long into the future right this minute. We would meet tomorrow again at 3 p.m. discuss any further measures that the council feels needs to be taken. And then to include, Roxanne, include this sort of guideline at the bottom that we're following all these directions, or just have it just be short and sweet, just like that?
My only suggestion, we add the words Newton Park to that.
Yes, okay, so that, we already have that in here. The Newton Park, the beach pool, the Mound House,
All town of Fort Myers Beach properties.
correct. And activities associated with those
And
properties.
just for clarification purposes, the county also owns a park called Matanzas Pass Preserve, which is not on the beach, but it is a county park. I think for clarification, we should state whether we are expecting them to close that or not.
How do you all feel about that?
Might as well, that's the way I
Yes,
look
I
at
think
it.
it's closed anyway for repairs, or did it repair? But, other one, oh, Mound House?
Mound House. So the first statement will include additional closures within the town of Fort Myers Beach will include the beach pool, Bay Oaks Recreational Center, Mound House, Newton Beach Park, and all activities associated with those properties. Going to take a 1-minute break and come back with something I can read to you. It's 4:32. We'll be back in 10 minutes. Thank you all for your patience. So I'm going to put into a motion that I believe we have agreed to here this afternoon. Bruce, can you hear me? Bruce, can you hear me?
Bruce, can you hear?
Okay, I'm not going to worry about that.
Bruce?
I can barely hear you.
Okay, Bruce, can you hear me better now?
No.
Here, Roger, give me your phone.
Put you right
Yeah,
next to her.
yeah, okay, perfect. Bruce, can you hear me now? Bruce? Oh. The volume's already all the way up. Okay. Okay, can you hear? Is that good? It is on speakerphone. Okay.
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay. This is a motion. Town council will request Lee County to close, town council hereby requests Lee County close their parks and parking within the town's jurisdiction to include Bowditch Point, Lynn Hall Park, Crescent Beach Park, Lee County Pier, and beach accesses on North Estero Boulevard. Town of Fort Myers Beach will close all beach accesses and town parking, and all town-owned properties and associated activity, including Bay Oaks Recreational Center, Community Pool, Newton Beach Park, and the Mound House. And any commercial activity in the EC zone, which for those of you who don't know that technical term, is essentially the beachfront. This will be in effect beginning tomorrow at 6 p.m., that is Thursday, March 19th, 2020. It will remain in effect until April 21st, 2020, 6 p.m. Town Council will meet again tomorrow, Thursday, March 19th, 3 p.m.
I'll second that motion, indicating that it is a proclamation pursuant to Resolution 20-13.
Resolution 20-13 is the Fort Myers Beach State of Emergency we initiated on Friday. Is there any discussion on the motion? Is it clear to each council member? Ray?
Questions here?
Roxanne?
No questions.
Joanne?
And we are recommending all CDC recommended precautions for our residents, visitors, and businesses within our municipal limits.
Yes. Bruce, do you have any questions about this?
I'm sorry. And understood.
Bruce is asking if we've said anything about beach rentals, beach vendors, and Bruce, that was handled yesterday and the day before, that has already been closed.
About that. Is furniture off the beach in all cases?
I don't know, Bruce, but I'm certain that between now and tomorrow at 6 p.m., Roger and staff will be taking care of that. Welcome.
And Madam Mayor,
Yes,
do we
Joy.
need to reiterate about the 50% occupancy of restaurants and the operation in no groups larger than 10, as recommended by the CDC?
I'd like to keep this clear that this is new. those are already done.
Okay.
Let's not repeat what's already been done, so that this is clearly a new separate action.
Very good.
I would prefer that.
As long as the restaurants are aware of that already.
It's-
Thank you.
That was done by the state.
It was set forth in several different places.
Very good, thank you.
I want everybody to be very, very aware that tomorrow morning this could change. It could change later this afternoon. It's 5 o'clock right now, not entirely likely. By tomorrow, there could be different circumstances. Please know that this decision is a heavy-hearted decision for us, and no decision at all at the same time. Matt Love said to me this morning, he says, you know, there's some times where you just know very clearly what you have to do to protect everyone, or at least as many people as you can, and I think we're all pretty clear on this. I'm going to call a roll call vote on this. Vice Mayor Murphy, your vote.
Aye.
Councilmember Hossafrost, your vote.
Yes.
Councilmember Shamp, your vote.
Aye.
Councilmember Butcher, your vote. Councilmember Butcher is indicating that his vote is yes, and my vote is yes. This council will stand adjourned until tomorrow at 3 p.m. Public will be invited to our meeting as always, but may I please encourage you to consider sending us emails if you have comments. We currently have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have 13, 14 people in the chambers. They're all spaced more than 6 feet apart. And we will continue with those guidelines tomorrow. So maybe we have a capacity for 3 or 4 more in here, but just beware of that. It's 5:03. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second, and the meeting stands adjourned at 5:03, and thank all of you.